I had no idea she was unfaithful for 28 years, overheard wife's affairs, ensured justice was served. Welcome to Romance Files. Matt and his wife Jess were 49 years old. Their relationship had the classic storyline. They met in college at a mutual friend's party, dated for several years, had a lavish church wedding with lots of guests and relatives, and enjoyed a honeymoon in Hawaii with its azure ocean, coconut juice, and bright sun in the sky. Jess was devilishly beautiful and could easily have worked as a model if she wanted to. Slender, tall, with long blonde hair. Sometimes, Matt would look at his wife and wonder how he managed to win over this beauty. In the man's opinion, their married life was quite good, perhaps better than many of his acquaintances. The spouses didn't get bored in each other's company. They loved to travel and learn about different cultures. They managed to buy their own apartment after 10 years of marriage, and after another 10 years, bought an apartment for their adult son when he was finishing college and planning to live with his girlfriend. This is how Matt lived with Jess in marriage for about 28 years. Even at 49, the woman looked very attractive and drew the attention of younger men. This amused Matt more than made him jealous because his wife never flirted back with strangers' advances. Jess never really gave a reason for jealousy, so he never worried about that. Matt found out about her infidelity completely by accident. One day, his wife told him that she had invited an old friend over who, after her own wedding, moved with her husband to Alaska. Because of the great distance, the women saw each other very rarely, once every year or two. Every time the friend came to visit her relatives and friends, she and Jess would usually meet up somewhere in a cafe or park nearby. But this time, they decided to spend time together at their house. Jess politely asked Matt to go somewhere so they could chat alone, just the two gals, drink some wine, and order sushi. This was a perfectly normal request for them, because, I should say, the spouses had a very small circle of friends. The husband knew all of Jess's girlfriends by face, and the wife likewise knew all of the man's buddies. Neither had any objection if one of them invited a company of 2 or 3 friends over and spent time with them in the kitchen. The other could meanwhile take care of their own business in the next room, go for a walk, or even join the others if in the mood. But mostly, the spouses spent time separately with their own company. Perhaps their calm attitudes in this regard were influenced by their wild youth and mutual love for partying in the first half of their married life. The partying couple would often be in different places and in big companies, mingling with various groups and spending time with them. Having enjoyed the socializing, they would happily return home together. It was around noon when my wife asked me to start decorating the table and taking out the nice dishes from the cabinet. After which, she planned to pick up her friend from the airport, drive into town, go shopping, and after the stores, come home, drink some wine, and eat sushi. When Jess left, Matt spent about 2 more hours at home before getting ready and leaving for a walk. The man felt comfortable spending time alone because he could go wherever he wanted and do whatever he wanted. Matt agreed with his wife to come back around 8 p.m., so around the scheduled time, he decided to stop by the store and buy some groceries for home. He called Jess to specify what they were missing in the fridge. After saying goodbye, the woman forgot to hang up, so Matt could overhear the continuation of his wife's conversation with her friend. Not resisting the sudden curiosity, the man started listening to their chat while walking around the grocery store and filling his basket with needed items. They were talking about all kinds of nonsense, about everything and nothing at the same time, gossiping about some mutual acquaintances, who was dating whom now, and who broke up with whom. They smoothly switched to their own family relationships. This part of the conversation was the most interesting for Matt. What husband wouldn't be interested to hear what his wife says about him? The women, not shy on details, started sharing particulars of their personal life, or rather, intimate life. Moreover, from their questions to each other, it was clear they both knew what was going on in the other's bedroom. The friend sadly recounted that she hadn't been intimate with her husband for 2 years now, and that she'd been seeing someone from work for about a year. She was worried that sooner or later the truth would come out, and her husband would find out about these love affairs. From Jess's calm reaction, the man understood that she was aware of the situation. She expressed sympathy and understanding to her friend, to which the friend wondered how Jess managed to conceal her affairs with other men from Matt for so many years and still maintain a good relationship with him. The friend's voice held a certain envy and respect for Jess's seriousness. Matt just froze by the dairy products, not believing his ears. Well, this was definitely not what he expected to hear. He hastily pressed the record button on the call so he could later use it as evidence of what he found out about his wife. The next hour of their conversation was devoted to candid confessions from Jess about her infidelity. The first time the woman cheated on her husband was in 1998, 3 years after the wedding, and the last time was 2 years ago. When asked by the friend how many lovers Jess had, she could not name an exact number, but singled out 4 love affairs that stood out the most to her. The woman spared no details as she described her acquaintances with other men and the time spent with them in bed. She told about these cases with real facts and specifics. Matt listened to all this wide-eyed and couldn't understand what shocked him more in this situation: his wife's ability to skillfully conceal her affairs for so many years, or the detailed descriptions of some of them. For example, at 33, she had a 2-month affair with a guy who was 10 years her junior and was about to marry his pregnant girlfriend soon. Jess wasn't bothered in the least by his age and the fact that the guy was going to marry a pregnant woman, so she herself suggested their first intimacy when they were walking together on a date and passed by some hotel. The woman directly asked if he wanted to go in and get a room for the two of them. During one of her vacations, when my wife went to France with some other girlfriends, she had a fling with a foreigner whom she met up with at his apartment. For Matt, it was unusual to hear in her story that the same foreigner was quite frightened of catching sexually transmitted infections, so they practiced other ways of satisfying each other. She soon got bored of this, since the wife preferred the classic gender of relations, so that romance ended before her trip back home. As the woman talked, the friend dreamily pronounced that she definitely would have something to remember in her old age. At that phrase, Matt couldn't take it anymore. He turned off the phone and nervously laughed. Passerby people in the grocery store glanced at Matt, mistakenly taking him for a drunk, but he didn't care about the sideways looks and quiet whispering behind his back. He even wanted to share with the elderly lady nearby that his marriage had been full of lies for many years and had just been destroyed by pathetic eavesdropping over the phone. When the man returned home, the friend was no longer in his house. The wife was cleaning up in the kitchen and washing dishes. When her husband asked how they spent their time, she just shrugged and said everything went well. Jess went to bed quite early, around 10 in the evening, and called her husband to join her, but he refused and sat in the kitchen until late at night. At the thought of having to lay in one bed with this two-faced woman, Matt was disgusted. He thought of postponing the conversation until morning and directly confessing to his wife that he knew about her affairs, but he couldn't fall asleep on the couch because of thinking about it. It was around 3 in the morning when Matt went to his wife and woke her up. The woman sleepily rubbed her eyes and didn't understand why her husband was disturbing her so late, but her drowsiness was lifted like a hand when the man started talking about her lovers. Jess's face expressed the utmost surprise and fed misunderstanding, to which the man started recounting juicy details of her sex life with other men. Then real fear finally appeared in her eyes, either the realization of her mistake or fear for herself, which was more realistic. Jess grabbed her husband's hand and tried to justify her actions, but all her arguments sounded like such unconvincing nonsense that Matt didn't even listen to them. All he could muster the strength for was to say that on Monday they would go together to file for divorce. His wife begged for another chance and wanted to remain by his side for the rest of her days, but Matt was adamant and didn't believe a word she said. He realized their relationship could no longer be saved after so many years of lies and betrayal. As promised, on Monday, the spouses filed for divorce. He wanted to start a new life where he wouldn't constantly have to doubt his wife's faithfulness. Although the divorce was a painful process, over time, Matt felt relief from no longer being obligated to the woman who had betrayed him so badly, and now he enjoyed being alone. He sold his half of the property that was left to him after the divorce and bought a small house outside the city, closer to nature and tranquility. The man honestly told his relatives and adult son the reason for the divorce, including using the recording with details of his ex-wife's love affairs. Upon finding out about Jess's betrayal, they severed all ties with her and refused to communicate. While the former husband's family's animosity was something she could come to terms with, her son's hatred was most painful of all. He fully took his father's side and wanted nothing to do with her. After Matt filed for divorce, Jess was devastated. She lost not just her husband, but her whole way of life. For some time, she tried to win Matt back, begging him to give her another chance, but eventually had to accept their marriage was truly over. Deep down, she understood she only had herself to blame for what happened, deceiving her husband all those years, and tried to find solace in casual flings, but it only exacerbated her loneliness and inner emptiness. That's the story. Share your thoughts in the comments about this situation and the behavior of the spouses. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and be sure to like this video. It will greatly help promote the channel. Take care and have a wonderful day. If you liked it, please support us with a like, as well as subscribe to our channel. Write in the comments what you think about the